Okay, this J. Patrick Morgan, the wise man say dude. It's another intermission report. This is going to be several clips of video, like from the On the Run part of the morning show videos on Rumble.com. So I estimate there's probably going to be 6 or 7 of these short clip videos that will be attached together as one for the intermission report number 3. I'm in the Eunice City Park, which is on Park Avenue. It says, go figure, Park Avenue, that's where the city park is. Alright, so, and yeah, it's not really overcrowded. It's fairly relaxing here. It's a Sunday heading into afternoon. I look a little different. I don't have my do-rag on, and I've got a dress shirt on. I just came from Eunice Church, also called New Hope. It's on College Road for anybody that's visiting Eunice for a short period of time and here on a Sunday and wants to go to church. I definitely recommend it. You always get a good message. There's for those who are more into modern music instead of standard hymns from the hymnals, they do Christian music that's more modern sounding, recorded. In this case, they have the actual musicians up there. Some churches that do that, they'll have like a CD and the background music is recorded. But yeah, they're a great church. The other church that I've gone to that's really spirit-filled and has a very smart, excellent pastor and a nice group of people going to it. It's a much smaller church. It's First Apostolic Church, which is down by the high school on Ash Street. And I've gone there several times as well. Very disorganized as far as which church I'm going to when. I don't know which church I'm going to when. In the Watchman Network, we're told to gather with 2 or more and select a church, but we move around a lot, so we don't stay in the same town all the time. And so it's just something that we get used to. We don't typically go to the same church the whole time that we're located in a specific area. And it's part of what has been recommended to us. We know we're moving on at some point. You get attached to seeing the same people and establishing that intense of a friendship that you would have from being around the same people all the time. And it becomes a little bit of a heartbreak when you know you have to leave. You're under God's will. You're going to leave when God says it's time for you to leave. Otherwise, you'll end up in the belly of a whale, not listening to when it's time for you to leave. And that's how that is. So anyways, the subject matter for intermission report number 3 is the truth. Because the truth is under fire in kind of a battle between the spiritual truth, which is the Bible and what God tells you and the Holy Spirit tells you, and science. It's all over the TV set. If you still watch a lot of TV in promoting the vaccines and all kinds of different things in the medical and pharmaceutical thing, they have this big campaign, I trust science, I trust science. I'm going to rattle the cages of both the spiritual and the secular science people at the same time. When I say that if you're seeking the truth, You're going to find the truth, and it's always the truth, whether you're looking for the truth in science or whether you're looking for the truth in spiritual matters, in God. You know, they will match each other. Psychology says that you should laugh a lot, you should seek happiness, you should look for, to get away from your depression. And the Bible also says laughter is medicine. So it's both the truth. What makes science not the truth? Same thing that would make the Bible not the truth. The devil used scripture out of context to tempt Jesus in his 40 days in the desert. So there's ways that evildoers can make the Bible not the truth, and there's ways that evildoers can make science not the truth. As above, so below. Anything spiritual will manifest in the physical, and things that you do in the physical will manifest in the spiritual. Vice versa. You can find lots of matches in science and in the Bible that's all the truth. Or you can twist the Bible and make it a lie, or you can twist science and make it a lie. It's all the same thing. It's how you twist it. You're given a tool. A knife is a tool. You can cut meat with it, vegetables. You can cut wiring if you're wiring up something electronic. And you can do lots of things useful with a knife as a tool, or you can turn it into a weapon and you can stab the crap out of somebody and send them to the hospital and to their death. The Bible is a tool in the same way, and science is a tool. They're all a tool in the exact same way, or they're a weapon. The Bible has been used as a weapon. When they formed the Catholic Church was more or less the Romans' government tool to suck in Christians to go to war against pagan nations. Traditionally, that's how it was established through the Council of Nicaea. When you embody church into the government, or government into the church becomes a weapon instead of a tool. So those are examples. It's either a tool or a weapon. It's a weapon as a bad thing, or a tool as a good thing. And that's true with the Bible, it's true with science. They can twist science around to sell you a product that'll eventually kill you. They can twist the Bible around to sell you a concept and a mindset that will eventually kill you. It works both ways, no matter which way you go with it. So this is just section 1 of On the Run for the Intermission report number 3 that will be up on YouTube probably no later than Wednesday of this week. Since I had a time to sit down in a park, this is where I decided to start the first part of the On the Run videos. And so I'm going to clip this out here, and you'll go straight into the next clip, which I probably won't start recording till tomorrow sometime. So back at you in a second to you, and in a day to me. All right, J. Patrick Morgan on the run for more of this intermission report number 3. As you can see, it looks backwards to me, and probably maybe to you too. The flashing line over there that says casino. Yeah, there's a lot of counties that don't want casinos in their counties in Louisiana, more on a religious basis and a higher religious population. And there's some that want it and would rather have it, probably due to a lot of lobbying by people who have invested money and are expanding their casinos and stuff. You know how that thing works with government. It all has to do with who has money and who has what. it's a major influence of society. Pretty much has been. Now it's influenced society on steroids, even in the freest country in the world, where a lot of people would rather not have these kind of things. Gambling addiction is a bad addiction, just like alcoholism, heroin, anything else you can be addicted to, video games, you name it. So yeah, on the run here. And the reason that I came out here by this casino is more or less, if you're not even trying to seek God, you're not even making the effort, you've made no repentance, you're not trying to be forgiving and do what God would ask you in this world, which is a hard thing to do. The world is tempting. There's gambling everywhere. There's bad eating. Look at the fast food restaurants. There's everything that's bad for people that seems like it tastes good, or it's fun or whatever, and ultimately it's bad. And so yeah, it's not easy, but you're at least expected at some point when you repent and seek the will of God to try to do better with all of your vices and hang-ups and infirmities and everything that you've got that's not pleasing to God. And that's me included. I have plenty of them too. I don't qualify to be a preacher because you're expected to lead by example, and I still have a lot of vices and sins and hang-ups that are tough for me to get away from. I have to build more willpower to quit cigarettes and different things, So in this on-the-run thing, as I said, the reason I hit the casino is if you don't have God, you're not even seeking God, you're not praying, you're not trying to do what Jesus would do, and you don't even care what God would have you do, or what some of your things that you like to do that are not godly might cause as harm to yourself and others. The odds are stacked against you, just like the casino. The house always wins. Yeah, once in a while somebody goes in there with $2 or $3 and they walk home with 200. If they're not addicted, if they're addicted, they'll piss away that whole 200 that they won, and then be pissing and moaning and regretting it, regretting not going home with that $200 that they made, because you get excited and you think you're gonna, well, I won 200, now maybe I could win 500 or 1,000, or and greed and materialism is a motivator. I can go buy this, I can go buy that. If I would just win some money, more than what I make in my regular paid by the hour paychecks and blah blah blah. You get the idea. And if any of you have ever been gambling addicts and are not anymore, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've known a lot of gambling addicts in my life. So yeah, the world is stacked against you unless you're seeking God. Especially in terms of God is the only one that's going to give you the solid truth, lead you into places where you'll have more peace in a society where the rulers of darkness seek chaos. They want you fearing all the time, fearing. Fear, is a great manipulator, and the devil knows so. And the devil has influenced that into our leaders in power, because you have these billionaire cabals. A lot of them thwart themselves. They even have names that we know of as Jewish names, but they're not Jewish. They kind of say they are and like that, but they're not. And we're warned about them in Revelation. Those who call themselves Jews, but they're not. They're liars. But anyways, you have these big billionaire cabals that have been pushing for globalism. They're connected to secret societies, the Masons being top number one. because the Masons really, they kind of made a decent name for themselves in the sense that everybody that knows anything about the formation of this country, the United States, they were involved in putting together the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all these things that are supposed to make our country free, and so on. But what they didn't put in place along with those Constitution and Bill of Rights, the freedom to travel, free speech, freedom to practice your religion, and so on and so forth, they did not put protections in there that would keep these powers from manipulating them away from you. Now, if you give them up on your own because you've been lied to and you're buying into the big con game that we all call in the Watchmen Network, we call it the Great Deception, because it's definitely a deception, and it's great, and it's falling under masses of people that you would see as smart, your parents or your teachers or whatever, that you would see as smart, and they're still falling for this. They're being deceived. They are smart, but smart people get deceived. Good people get deceived. They have hearts. They don't want people to get hurt. And that just makes the devil, who knows that emotion is a big player in manipulating you, pull on your heartstrings. Well, you don't go for this part of globalism and that part of censorship on the internet or whatever they're promoting. Then this, that, and the other people will get hurt. They go as far as taking events that are really rare, making an example out of them, to make you think that they happen way more often, to get you to give up your rights freely. Oh yeah, we can't do that anymore because people get hurt because of this thing that we call rights. And they even go into the point of setting it up to happen, fabricating it, using crisis actors or actresses to cry on the TV cameras and stuff over these particular events, and to manipulate you. Nobody wants to see somebody crying. It hurts. You start crying yourself if you have any feelings whatsoever, because you know that they're hurt, but if they're acting, you really don't know that they're kind of not hurt. They're just putting on a show. The Nazis and Hitler did that. They would put on a show, or they would make example out of these rare events, and they would get the Germans to agree that this should happen and that should happen, and they kept doing it all the way up to the point where the Germans were completely complacent with the incarceration and murder of, the Jews. And somebody with a lot of knowledge, like Hitler, was very, very smart. But if you have the wrong knowledge, it comes from the wrong place, or if it comes from the right place, but it's been twisted around, God's knowledge is used and twisted around for very, very horrible things, And it happened to Solomon even after a while. He was a great person, but then he became manipulated by the occult knowledge. And the occult knowledge is about like that ring of power in the Lord of the Rings movie. You think you might be able, because it's so powerful, to use it for great things, but it still corrupts you. It turns you beastly. If you remember correctly, Smeagol was the Gollum the Thief's name when he was a normal-looking human being, and he had his hands on that ring of power so long that he was the horrible-looking creature that he was by the time Frodo ran into him. You'd think you could use occult powers for good things, but it always turns into something bad, no matter what. God's knowledge, you can do that to a certain extent, but then there's that 10 times what you give that's good, or you can get 10 times worse of what you dish out that's bad with the powers of God. And paganism, they call it karma. That's the other part of the truth that we got to face. The odds are stacked against us, just like the house, the casino. Yeah, the odds are stacked against you. You can win one time, good. If you ain't smart enough to go home, you can lose everything that you just won. Yeah, and unless you have God, unless you're seeking, God can help you through the end times. He says He can help you through anything. And the end of days that we're into now, we're already into it. And the truth is that whosoever does not worship the beast, it would cause to be killed. And this isn't, we're not seeing the future like they portray it in the movies, where people go against these tyrannical powers in a futuristic world, and then they get killed for it and stuff. The truth also is, whatever the government shows you that they have in power over you, they have 10 times more. That's way more powerful, way more, against you in odds-wise. Like a good example, the Second Amendment. Everybody has the rifles, and then the government won't get away with pulling this shit. We'll do our militias, blah, 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 blah. No. That 5G stuff, if it's unidirectional instead of omnidirectional and intensified by about 25 times, a crowd of 1,000 people going up as a mob to protest in front of some state capitol or something like that, it could totally disable them, drop them all to the ground. It'd be like it'd be like you put sarin gas on them, but you didn't. They just blasted them with an energy wave that's incompatible with their brain frequencies, and it kind of knocks them out. They have stuff like that. They have, we know that with my phone with me, they can listen to conversations. If I'm doing something bad enough where it makes them need to listen to me, they think I'm going to do a terroristic act or something. We all know about that with the computer, with the phones, and stuff like that. But even if I threw this phone across the road and totally destroyed it, went somewhere else where I couldn't be tracked and followed and stuff like that, and started talking in the middle of nowhere with nobody standing around, they can angle satellites to read my lips, take short clips of video, anything, if it's bad enough, it's like international terrorism, and they think I'm involved in that, they can do that. CIA, Interpol, all of them, they can do stuff like that, and they got way more tools to use against people than they're going to let people know. And that's another part of the truth. And of course, I did say that this particular intermission report number 3 is about discernment of the truth. And I'm going to head back home. It's getting dark. I got my solar headlight on so that I can see where the potholes are and stuff to get home. We're going to do another on-the-run clip, and my estimate is probably all of these will be clipped together to one video and uploaded on the night of the 14th, before midnight. If I can't get them up on one video platform, I'll get them up on another. It'll be somewhere, and then I'll be able to share them with you through Messenger, through text message, and all those places. All right, we're good to go, and I'm killing it. And in another second, you'll see another on the run, and it probably will be daylight that time around. All right, so the second clipping of the on the run videos that's going together in the intermission report number 3. Here, of course, you all see it as a split second later, where actually it's a whole day later. Maybe even a day plus 2 hours, I think. And we're talking about truth, and truth is relevant. Truth is truth, and there's so many ways that something that is truth can be said differently and suddenly make it misleading. Misleading is still not the truth, even if the statement itself is truth. In the context that it's used is misleading, then it's not the truth. Lies by omission. If it's convenient to leave it out because you won't get your sale if you're a salesman, or you won't get elected if you're a politician, or you won't get your product on the market if you're a corporation, a manufacturer, is still a lie. Just conveniently leaving it out, it's a deception, therefore it's a lie. That's how truth works. And that's whether it's biblical or scientific or secular. All of it has a way of being a lie. In some cases, you might call it a little white lie or a prank lie or something like that, where it's not intended to cause any harm. But it's still a lie, and maybe in a lot of cases it doesn't cause harm, but there are a few cases where it still could. It just depends on the context and the purpose of what is being presented. The deliberate deception that goes along with a lot of what we're seeing in the end of days, or the end times, meaning the same thing, just coined from different groups of people. The deception is great. They actually call it the Great Deception, because they got so many lies twisted in where there's truth, from so many angles. And people without discernment, they'll say, well, this statement here and this statement here, maybe 2 out of a dozen statements is the truth. That means the other 10 statements that aren't the truth is the truth, because they said the truth in these 2 statements. That's a bit of slickery. It's actually been around for centuries. By different people. There was very deceptive merchants back in Old Testament days as well. And you can read history of other societies besides Christian, Judean history that's in the Bible, where it pays mention to these things. In fact, in the Dark Ages and medieval days, they literally named tribes of people after their typical characteristics. Scandinavian is what they call it now, but back in those days they called it a scandal, and the word scandal or scandalous came from the tribe that was called Scandinavians. Same with vandals. The vandalism or vandal, that came from the context of what a tribe in Europe called the Vandals did. So that's where the word vandal came from. They went in, they burned down whole villages, and destroyed everything in their path, and when they were conquering, and so therefore the name of the tribe was called the Vandals, based on the language used at the time. And then in the modern English language, now we have the word vandal and vandalism. The problem with that is generalization is really prejudice. You're putting a whole group of people in one box. That's considered prejudice, plain and simple. Or in the terms of race, it's considered racism, because you're putting all of a race in one box. So, but that's just the way they did things back then. But the thing that is happening now that's absolutely no different from those time periods is what they call propaganda, or mongering is another word, like warmongering or fear-mongering, that kind of thing. It is where you do your best with your mass communications with people to make your side look as best as it possibly could be, and the other side, whoever it happens to be, the worst that they possibly could be. The things that they would say against the pagan tribes as the Catholic Church conquered north in order to get people to join the Catholic army and move northward into Europe, or they moved other directions too, but I'm just going with, seeing as we were talking European tribes, I'm going with Northern Europe. You know, so they would definitely, you know, say things that were not true to get more people more interested in joining that military, that battle, that conquerism, as the Roman Empire sought to conquest other areas. They would use the religious end of it. There's a lot of pagan tribes that went by what they call it, it's a Wiccan code actually, and first do no harm. And if they were following that, like if a Christian is following thou shalt not kill or any other commandment, then you know, great. And then of course there was some of them in those communities that did not do that, and did cause harm. But they can take those few that do cause harm and try to say that the whole pagan tribe, whatever it happened to be, Celtic, Gaelic, Dionic, Nordic, whatever it happened to be, is like that when they're not. And they used it for warmongering, for recruiting militaries, and things like that. Truth is a very, very, very difficult thing to discern all by itself in intercommunication with people that you see every day in person or talk to on the telephone, whatever. And now they use these context of deception with lies by omission or little white lies or whatever they try to call it. It's still a deception, it's still a lie, even if you're not lying directly. They use that in mass communication now with newspapers, TV, and radio, and internet, and so now, unlike times before, when a nation tried to conquer the world, they would only get so far with it, between the technology that they didn't have, the resources they didn't have, the ability to mass communicate to everybody instead of just a limited amount of people that happened to show up at the town square when whomever was addressing the public. You know, this is why this time around global government will end up working. Okay, apparently I did have too big of a file storage in my storage on the phone, so it cut me off. So I'm just going to get this last few seconds in here and clip it to that for the second on the run. Yeah, where I left off, it is going to happen, globalism, to that point. The Bible predicts it, and there's a reason for it, and it's something God knows that we just never really considered. It says an image of the beast in everybody's home, everyone's home, not just certain people, everybody. And almost everybody has a TV or computer or a cell phone now. It's the one thing. Almost everybody sees global news and national news and so on and so forth. Except people that are just avidly against TV and internet, like Amish folks or Mennonites, things like that. So there's nothing that is kept out of people's eyes, you know. Can be censored as much as they want, they're still going to get it around. Some people that are really stubborn about getting a message out there, they're going to get it out there either way. That's me, myself. I do that. I'm going to get the message out there. But that kind of mass communication is that intense where you're just going to have at least 85, if not 90, 95% ready to just follow along with progressive socialist globalism as it was developed and put into people's mindset by mainly secret societies and billionaire cabals and those people that have the money to throw around. That's how it was put there. So those that say, well, the United States is a sovereign nation, we got patriots, we have a constitution, we're too patriotic, we have a huge military, we have this, we have that. It's not possible for us to become part of a one world government and religion entity as predicted in Revelations. Because United States is so great and blah, blah, blah. Wrong. The power of suggestion, the power of mass communication is beyond any nuclear weapon that you could launch with the press of a finger. When you mass communicate to that many people, people become the weapon. Instead of the gun, the knife, the nuclear missile, when you mass communicate and you get that many people to buy a single concept all at once, anybody that's outside of that doesn't want to think like that still wants to be an individual in their own person, the masses, the people, the 90%, the 95%, the 99%, whatever the percent happens to be, becomes the weapon against the people that don't want to comply to it, that still want to be themselves, that still want to be the individual. So the mass communication in terms of propaganda, the popular people, the ones that are all going the same direction, become the weapon against the individual that doesn't want to follow along. It's like the ultimate form of bullying is what it is. So we're going to be moving on to the next On the Run video, and I promise it won't be in the city park this time. It'll be in a different location, but a split second doesn't give you that long to think about it. So at the end of all the on the runs, I want you to really take a few minutes to soak in what is being said on these different sections on the run that get compiled into Intermission Report number 3. Because this is what we're looking at as we go forward into the world and the way society and everything is moving now. This is what we're looking at, and this is what we're up against when we seek freedom for our own person and our family. That's what we got going for us. So killing it here, and there will be another On the Run in a split second for you, but it probably won't be till tomorrow for me, and we probably won't have it uploaded on the internet until Thursday at the rate we're going. So bye y'all, see ya. Okay, so here's where we at, one of my favorite inner city spots here. I like going out to the outskirts and more countrified, but this is quiet and nice here. And City Park, and not real active at the moment, so the clip you saw just before this, a split second before I hit record on this, I said something about 3,500 to 4,000 BC. And that most of the language is not really even translatable. What is translatable, despite it being 4,000 BC, is Yahuwah and Yahusha, which means God and Jesus, and this was like a few thousand years before Jesus came to the earth, so that's some significance right there by itself. This was around the time of maybe a few hundred years, around the time after Enoch was taken up, and Enoch had so much knowledge and progressed so far that he just didn't belong here. Well, there's a catch-22 to that. The whole idea is that if left on the earth, a lot of the most wicked kings and queens would have harassed him, tortured him, made his life miserable for what he knew that was godly, but godly things can be used for ungodly purposes, and that's part of the reason why Enoch was taken up. But I think some of this had to do with some things concerning Enoch. That's just my intuition. It's kind of like something that the Holy Spirit was trying to tell me, it seems, unless I'm interpreting it wrong. But like I said, we know that the name of God and the name of Jesus is mentioned in this, and the rest of it is not really, they try to put it in context with known languages, and it comes out gibberish no matter which way they put it together for known languages that were in the Middle East pre-Christ. So the rest of this, what this is saying, is really unknown to us, and I got this little piece of something from one of the biblical historians that's now, he was a professor of linguistics, and now he's a long time, like a couple decades retired, but he still hasn't passed on. I was privileged enough to know him for a period of time while doing correspondence work. So here we go. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced correctly as I sing it. I worked on it to kind of make sure, because I haven't done it since 2006. I performed it live somewhere. Bezidra Mayo Yahuwah Yahusha, Bezidra Mayo Yo Yo Nana, Yahuwah Yahusha, Shanaya, Bezidra Mayo Yahuwah Yahusha, Yahuwah Yahusha. Yahweh Yahusha Shana Yamayo Be Bezidra Mayo Yahuwah Yahusha Yahuwah Yahusha Bezidra Mayo Yahuwah Yahusha. Oh, Hebo Bedo Nanaya, oh, Hebo Bedo Mainaya, Yahuwah. Playing with actually more in line. The chords seemed like they fit, and that was what I was familiar with. I know that it was an arpeggio thing with very old instruments when a recording was played for me, so it was kind of different then. But on guitar, guitar is more of a Celtic thing, and so I put it in I played the chords to it in more of a Celtic storytelling context, and it's still pretty much the same music. It just has a rhythm that fits more with the guitar than the instruments that were used 3500 to 4000 BC. Again, there's some indication in my spirit that it had something to do with the Enoch being taken up from the earth. And I don't know the significance of this time period, but I was just compelled to add it to the Intermission report number 3 as part of it. And there's one more segment that I will be recording after a little while that will finalize Intermission report number 3. And then I've got a promotional advertisement thing to tell all my friends and different people I know through emails and chats and texts and stuff that number 3 is coming up. Most likely uploaded in the evening of October 14th, and if I run into trouble, which hopefully I don't, then maybe it won't be there till the morning of the 15th, but the whole intention is for it to be ready for the upload for the 14th at least. And so that part is that part. That's the only section where you're getting music. You're not getting really a comedian thing in the intermission reports. There's some changes going to be going on concerning the morning shows and the Saturday night show anyways. That eventually you'll see what's happening with it. I'll give you a spoiler alert kind of thing. That it is concerning a traveling show with similar to that donkey trek thing I was going to try before coronavirus went crazy on us, but not a donkey this time. It's the this thing right here, the electric scooter, a different trailer than this, solar panels and power and different things going on, a lot of staying at campsites and talking to people locally as I go from town to town. It's not a permanent travel thing. God is telling me that I will be settled like I want to in a nice country place, and probably sooner than I think, but right now there's a calling and nobody else is doing this. So there's your spoiler alert. It's another traveling idea, but this time I'm figuring out that very little of it, I can't say very little because it's still quite a bit of money. Only a smaller amount is coming out of my own pocket. There'd be sponsorship from places that want to sell short-range electric vehicles, that want to sell higher, more advanced solar power and things. And there's even a thing where with somebody else's idea of an alternator that it's driven for charging power from the wheel motion I'll already be using when I am traveling. And that's, I'm thinking, is to make up for days when it's not really sunny enough for solar power to be efficient and things. So there you have it. Time this is all clipped together, I'm thinking that it will be close to 50 minutes worth of video. I'm already very close to there. But the last segment is to tell you about that solar show thing, and that it is definitely happening this time, but it just won't be starting for another couple months. But it's definitely happening this time, and that's what that last segment will be about. So I'm going to kill it here. You got your piece of music that originated 3,500 to 4,000 BC in biblical era and days, like I said you was going to get. So we'll move on to that next clip that you'll see in a second, but I won't do it for 2 hours. Yeah, okay. And there's that. This still can't get used to the way camera phones line up and stuff. I'm trying to turn it the wrong direction. Well, this is the summary, the last on the run video that I'm doing for intermission report number 3 concerning discernment of the truth. You know, the truth, you know, if you hide the truth, it's just the same as lying. There's a reason why you're hiding the truth, and it's going to manipulate something your way. It's going to not get you arrested. It's going to sell that used car. You wouldn't sell it if you told them a couple of things that are actually wrong with it. You know, it's called a lie by omission, and it's done a lot. You know, and so that's another part of discernment of the truth. You know, sometimes, you know, somebody will hide something from you because we love surprise birthday parties and we want to throw you one, so we're gonna, you know, just tell a little lie or something to distract you from asking why you're doing a certain thing. That's gonna give away that you're having a party, and then there's no surprise at the surprise party. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not even close to what I'm talking about concerning lies. I'm talking about when you omit something because it's going to cause you to not be punished for something when you're doing something wrong, or it's going to cause you to not make some kind of dishonest money that you're making. You know, intensive deceit with that kind of sinister purpose. That's what I'm talking about. So we're in summarizing, and then I'm going to announce the big announcement of what these videos are changing to in a couple months once I get established to the point where I'm able to do it practically without, you know, putting myself, you know, because some people say, well, you that's risky, you're old, you know, and well, don't tell me I'm old. I'm not getting any younger. If I'm going to do something that I'm capable of doing now, I'm going to do it now and not wish that I had done it sometime when I'm in an assisted living home or someplace where somebody's got to take care of me. So don't, but that's moving on to the end of this. I'm summarizing discernment of the truth at this point, and people in the mindset that that's not possible that this person is lying about something. It's not possible. It's like they're in the mindset that that person is like God themselves or Jesus themselves or whatever, and they're incapable of lying. They can't lie to you. You know, you're saying this person is a liar. How dare you? That's not possible that that person can lie. So the first part of this summarizing of discernment of the truth is everyone is capable of lying. Everyone. We're all humans. We are tempted. We make mistakes. We commit sins. Everyone. Your pastor, the president, obviously. Your pastor, your favorite teacher, your parents, you know, anybody that you might respect in one form or another. Everyone, across the board, me included, is capable of lying. You know, lie by omission. You know, I might try to make myself look better, like I'm, like I just have all this stuff out of the top of my head, and I don't have to write it down or, you know, put it in bullet points and make it easier to address it to you. You know, but I'm more relaxed when I say it. I do less stuttering. So just like you make a shopping list to make sure that you get everything you need at the store, you know, you're going to have a cheat sheet more often than not. Even the newscasters, they have something, a prompt they're reading from when they're telling you. They didn't memorize that news story. No, they didn't. They got a prompt there that's telling them what they're saying now and what news story is coming up next, and the whole works, you know. And so, yeah. cheat sheet. Comedians, they have little cue cards there. Something's not funny enough for the crowd, they're not getting the kind of laugh that they can switch cue cards and change the subject and try this and see if this is funny to the crowd instead. You know, there's no shame in that. But I'm just saying, you know, I could try to make it look like I don't have a cheat sheet, but here the truth is, it's not a lie by omission. I have a cheat sheet. There you have it. Sue me. So, you know, everyone is capable of lying. Your parents, your preacher, you know, every person that is in the flesh, they can lie. I mean, you know, there's people that make a bigger effort to be honest about everything than other people and not scam people and not do this or manipulate and so on. Yes, there's people that make a bigger effort. But depending on how desperate a situation gets, depending on what you're protecting or not protecting, everyone is capable of lying. Even unintentionally, someone lied to them and they believed it, and then they're passing it along, and it's a lie. You know, they're not intending to lie to you; they just believe that it's true, and they're telling you. You know, lies come from everywhere, and you can't. You can't just say, well, this person is not capable of, people do that about murder too. You get an interview on it, oh, I never expected, you would have never expected that he would have murdered somebody, but he murdered somebody, and we just never suspected. And yeah. So why didn't why don't we catch the lies? A lot of times it's that mindset that some people are not capable, or they would never do that, or it's, you know, we didn't catch them because that's my mentor, that's my boss, that's my teacher, that's my parents, that's my grandma don't lie, on and on and on and on. That's why we don't catch them. You know, a lot of times is because we think that a particular person is not capable of that. They were put in a position. Well, you can put somebody in a position that's not good for a job. They'll get fired eventually when the boss figures it out. Somebody being in a certain position, that doesn't determine whether they're going to lie or not, or steal or not, or anything else, or sexually harass somebody on the workplace, any of that. It doesn't, just because they got, you know, that's why people get fired. People get put in positions they don't deserve, or they're just not skilled enough to do the job all the time, and then they'll get laid off or fired or whatever, and then they got to go do something else. You know, today, that's even worse than, well, that's my teacher, that's my parents, and that's, you know, that's somebody that I respect, the pastor or whatever. It's even worse. Now you got people that say, well, they said it on TV. They would, their news program would get shut down if they got caught lying, so they're not going to lie on TV. They said it on TV. I believe it because they said it on TV. The doctor said it. The doctor gets 8 years of education, or however many years to be a specialist or whatever, you know, and they're really smart. You know, just because you're smart doesn't mean you're not capable of lying. You can do 12 years and be a medical doctor, teacher in a classroom, a professor, and you're still capable of lying no matter how smart you are. Einstein capable of lying. Tesla capable of lying. All these smart people, super smart people, just because they're smart doesn't mean they're not capable of lying. And it's just because they're smart doesn't mean they're not capable of being manipulated into thinking something's the truth and repeating a lie. Just like I said, you know, you don't lie on purpose, but you're passing it along because you believe it. Just because they're smart doesn't mean that they're impervious to repeating something that somebody, you know, because they have people they trust too, you know. That's where discernment is. You can't just assume that, oh, well, that's this person. They would never, you know, or how did they get this powerful and this, that, and if they've been a bad person all their life anyways, you know. How did they do that? You know, that's not possible. And then, of course, the other common thing, well, that's a conspiracy theory. That's a rumor. That's misinformation from alternative news, blah, blah, you know, anything to support who they're believing that's actually lying to them. A very common one among patriotics is, this is USA, this is my country, I'm proud of my country. In no possible way that the USA has ever done anything horrible like that. You know, you're not telling the truth. They're telling the truth, because this is my country, and I'm not going to believe as a patriot that my country would ever do something like that. You know, I get a lot of that too. You know, if you're keeping all those mindsets, that there's just certain people that are they're like God themselves. It's impossible that they'll lie. It's impossible that they'll use the truth to manipulate you, which is also a lie. Manipulated truth, you know, or truth used for manipulation. Even though the words themselves are the truth, they're being said in a way that it's a deception, so it's still a lie. If it's intended with deception, it could be the truest statement in the world, but if it's not intended to be used in deception, it's still a lie. Yes, it is. It's still a lie. It looks like the truth, but they have other intentions with it, you know, so it's still a lie because they're deceiving. So that's the summary that I got here for you out of these on-the-run videos concerning discernment of the truth. I'm sitting out here, First Apostolic Church. I wanted to be confident that I'm really telling you the right thing with all these videos. One thing I noticed about this church, it's not just about being inside the sanctuary, where I feel, you know, a strong Holy Spirit. And the thing, it's out here in the parking lot before you even get in the building. And the thing about the Holy Spirit is, if you're doing right, you know, it's not like the scary poltergeist spirits you see on TV. You get a calming effect, and a confidence in what you're doing when you're doing right from the Holy Spirit. Or if you're doing wrong, what you're going to feel is conviction, guilt. You know, like, I said this and I'm doing this, but it doesn't feel right, even though, you know, you're not wrapping your head, but you get that sense of, and then you go, if you're smart, you go looking into it. Why doesn't this feel right? You ask questions, you act upon that appealing and conviction of your heart. If you're smart about it, you don't just ignore it and hope it goes away just because guilt or you know, intuition that something bad about it is, you know, is uncomfortable feeling to you. You go look into it. The way to get rid of the uncomfortable feeling is to find out why it's uncomfortable. It's like going to get your gut checked out when you constantly have a stomachache. That's why I'm here. First Apostolic Church, Ash Street, Eunice. Very good church, very nice people, very filled with the Spirit. The pastor is like super smart and knows how to speak and address people according to what, you know, is going on in this town, in this country, in this world, you know, and he kind of knows who his congregation is because they're regular. They come all the time and stuff. So, you know, you'll get something out of coming to this church. And I'm Scottish. I'm just as white as rice. And most people that come here are either black or they're mixed, black with something else. And I'm the only white person when I come that's come to this these services, and they don't care. You know, it's not like that. And that's something that and I don't care that I'm the only white person. You know, I care about getting filled with good knowledge and information from God. So that's why I chose this location for the final wrap-up on that. Now we're at 14 minutes, and just for a couple minutes before I shut this video down, I'm going to tell you about the little thing that I only said bits and pieces about it, and made people wonder. But, you know, some of them I already had the other day, because I've had this idea before, and coronavirus and not being the best thing for me to stay in New York when they start doing emergency things with coronavirus. Kind of messed up the road show, the original one, and I was going to use a donkey with that one, too. There's a lot to taking care of animals, and I am getting a little older where, you know, I'll struggle with certain physical things. The solar road show originally was going to be done as donkey trek, and a donkey doing a covered wagon, but it's not a normal covered wagon. It's got deep cell batteries and solar panels, and you're not living off from Clico Power or New York State Electric or any of those the electric companies. You're self-sufficient. You're generating your own power. You're living on the road. You don't have to plug into the campsite. You know, campsites, some of them can be pretty cheap until you say, well, you need the electric turned on for the 7 days that you're camping here. And the electric rates and all that make it super expensive, more expensive than renting a house or a trailer or an apartment, just to be at a campsite for a week. You know, they know how to get their money out of you and stuff. So anyways, there'd be more self-sufficiency. It frees up the income that I have now, which is not very much, to make me more able to get everything that I need. The food, propane gas, you know, because it's more practical to cook with propane gas, even though the price on that's gone up too, than to cook with electric. And electric burners use up a lot of, it overtask a battery and solar power system. So yeah, I'm an old fart, and some people are saying, well, you can't do that because look at your health right now. And people in their 80s go out camping, you know. Yeah, with me it's more a permanent situation, but I'm a person that deals with the fact that it's a little painful to get up off from a pad on the floor in the bottom of a tent. You know, it's pain. Oh well, you know, been in worse pain than that. Trust me, I have. I'm not getting any younger, so screw that, what everyone else says. And God and my respected Christian associates have been saying for a while, and I'm finally getting it. I need to stop worrying about whether somebody else thinks what I'm doing is insane, or it's going to harm me, or it's going to harm someone else. And letting those people, despite, you know, some of my family and friends, and I do kind of try to respect what they, I'm not going to worry about if I look like I belong in a psych ward because of specific things that God asked me to do, specific things that I actually looked into it, and you just took whatever they said on the TV or something, and without question I looked into it. And so these things that I do look like I belong in a psych ward, and these things that I say on the internet look like I'm sane and somebody should have me psychiatric. I'm not going to worry about it. You can think that I'm crazy as you want to think. There's a lot of atheists in the world. All I have to do is say God and Jesus, and an atheist already labels me insane. You know, so I'm not going to worry about that anymore. And that's what I'm closing this with. I'm doing the Solar Road Show using Scooter here that I already have. There's going to be lots of upgrades. This is made for in-town commuting and stuff, shorter ranges, and so but I'm doing the same travel idea that I thought of with the donkey, but I'm doing with the scooter. The scooter is capable, as long as you're not running a marathon with it, of hauling a couple 100 pounds on the trailer, a tent, a canopy, a foldable grill, all those things that you would use if you're going on like a vacation camping thing. It'll do it. I'm not going to push it at the full 20 miles an hour because most places have potholes from hell, and going 20 miles an hour with no trailer on that is rough on the scooter, depending on where you're at. They're not really diligent about keeping ahead of potholes in most states. So, I know what this is. I've learned what this is capable of and not capable of, and I'm gonna, when I'm hauling 200 extra pounds on the trailer, I'm going between 7 and 10 miles an hour. I'm not in any hurry to do anything. I don't have to be in a hurry, and that's how I'm doing it. So yeah, this is rolling on 21 minutes. Just a little. I already know that I'm going to split this in two, and it'll be number 3A and number 3B, because a few of the other videos are a little longer than expected too. But all of this, it's about discerning the truth. If you're being lied to, it's not for a good reason. It's not for anything that's helping you. It's helping somebody else, those lies that you're believing. It's not helping you at all. So you need to be able to discern, because when it comes right down to it, believing a lie is going to kill you. Maybe not this time that somebody lies to you, or the next time, but one of those times, believing the lie is actually going to put you in the wrong place, or in the wrong situation, or in the wrong sickness, or whatever. It's going to kill you. Lies are going to kill you. For my people perish because of their lack of knowledge. I don't even remember the verse, the chapter and verse. Just go look. It's there. It's in the Bible, and I didn't plan on it, so I didn't write it down here. It literally says, "For my people perish because of their lack of knowledge." Lie does the opposite of knowledge. Knowledge helps you. Lies tear you down. They tear the person down that you're lying to. Lies help nobody. So that's it. J. Patrick Morgan, Wise Man Say, Dude, Intermission Report number 3, the final conclusion on the run. And yes, I am doing the road show. I already have everything priced, I laid out. I've already bought certain things to get ready for right now. They're already bought. And just buy a few more, and then other people are going to do some sponsorships and cover some other things to make it even better yet. And it'll be a hell of a show, and you'll enjoy it. I know you will. So, J. Patrick Morgan, I'm out.